Hello everyone, my name is Hanner. I'm one of the English teachers here at Alianza Colombia Inglesa, and today we'll be working in punctuation, which is a topic that is going to help us a lot in our writings and in our international exams. So let's begin. So the first question to ask ourselves is, why should we use punctuation marks? When we add punctuation marks to a text, we are basically working on two different things. First of all, in the structure of the text itself, which means that it's going to be well organized, it's going to have more cohesion, more coherence, and as well our message is going to be more concise, right? And a second thing is on the connection of our ideas, because when we use punctuation marks, it helps us a lot to connect our ideas properly. And therefore, you'll see that the text itself, as a result, will be clearer, will be easier to be understood by our readers, and so many more good things. The question here is, how does it work then? Well, let's just analyze here an example which does not have any punctuation at all. You can see a message is there and all that, but at the end it is really difficult to understand it because those punctuation marks are something that we really miss as readers. Here you can see a general overview about the punctuation marks that we will cover on this video. So, first of all, the period, the comma, semicolon, colon, and quotation marks. I know there might be more than those punctuation marks, but right now in this video we're going to focus just on this, and maybe in the next one we will cover some other different ones like the dash or the hyphen. Let's start with the period or the full stop, which by the way, those names only depend on the location that you are. It is mainly used for two different purposes. The first one is when you want to end a declarative sentence. So you place the period at the end, right? With those kind of sentences, we mean with the sentence is totally complete, with the statement or what you want to mean is totally complete, right? We can have long sentences like these affirmations, the new video of that artist is remarkable, or I think we should keep going, right? But sometimes we need to break this idea of the long sentence and we can have something shorter, like the commandments, stay still, explain, or just simply saying goodbye. Even something in the middle, like wait while I fix my car. What is important is that you use the period at the end when you finish the idea. The second one is whenever we want to use abbreviations. Now, something important about this is that it can change according to the style guide or the country that we're following or where we are, right? I'll give you an example about this in a moment, but let's analyze some common words that we can find in our texts, etc. i.e. when you're giving examples, postscript when you're writing a letter at the end of it, or even abbreviations of the names of months, January, February, titles, Mr., Miss, Doctor, Professor, or AM and PM. And let's stop here for a moment because when we are talking about the time, we can have two different versions of it. We can use it in this way, like lowercase and with the periods between the letters, or we can also find it in some countries as AM, PM in capital letters and with no periods. So maybe that is a good tip that we should take into account, which is like basically not using periods whenever we are using uppercase abbreviations like BBC or FBI, but try to use them, or well, we must use them whenever we are talking of lowercase abbreviations. Let's move on to the comma. So there's three main uses for this. The first one is whenever we want to talk about a series of items. And now it is important to know that this series can be made of different kinds of words, nouns, adjectives, verbs, whatever. So here we have two examples. My boss is smart, responsible, creative, and nice. Only adjectives here, right? Or a second one, she liked the blouses, the pants, and the hats. Only nouns in this one, right? Second one is whenever we want to add non-essential information. So we can have a base sentence, just as Jenny graduated last year, but we want to add something additional, which is who is a great person. That's like a personal opinion there. And The same happens in the second example. Haiti, a wonderful country, has complex social conditions. Alright, a third one is whenever we want to use this to join two complete sentences, and if when we do that we're using connectors, right? I wanted to keep in mind a word which is fanboys, right? Because that is going to be an acronym that is going to help us to know which are the 7 connectors that we have to use with commas. Let's see the examples first. We tried to call her, but she was not available. My parents will not attend the meeting, nor will I. So here we have, these are the 7 connectors or coordinating conjunctions, as you can find them, that will work with the commas. For, and, or, but, nor, yet, and so. Let's talk now about the semicolon, which in my very personal opinion is one of the most underrated punctuation marks that we have in English, but knowing to use it properly will definitely make the difference. When to use it? Well, first when you want to connect two independent clauses. So here we have 2 examples about this. George is such a boring person. He doesn't like going anywhere. Or you have already explained it many times. I will never understand. You see, those are 2 basically complete sentences in every single example. And normally we might be able to use as well a full stop. But when we use a semicolon, the only difference is that we are showing that those 2 ideas are connected, right? Therefore, they can be a cause and consequence, or maybe just connected like in a very personal way, or well, some other kind of connections that we can make. A second use is whenever we want to separate items that have already used commas before. Let me give you an example about this. Famous characters of history like Mozart, the composer, Lincoln, the president, and Einstein, the physicist, had really complex personalities. So as you can see, we're using the not essential information addition comma, just so to speak, right? And therefore, as we already have the comma, we basically need to separate the elements with the semicolon. Here we have a second example. The happy clowns, doctors and lawyers, the sad philosophers, and the introspective musicians are joining our website. Alright, let's continue with the colon. So, there's 2 different uses for this one. The first one is whenever you want to introduce either lists or quotations. Let's see an example. What materials do you need? Well, make sure you have ready glue, tape, cardboard, and scissors. Second one, when we basically say what someone said to us. He angrily said, "Go back to the office and quickly bring that file." It sounds like a bossy boss, right? A second use, whenever we want to explain or justify the previous sentence that we wrote, right? Here we have 2 examples about this. We left the house as if it was brand new. How? Well, we restored the floors, we cleaned the appliances, and we painted the walls. Or maybe when we want to justify why we like that film, right? Well, I love that film. Its photography, direction, and design are magnificent. Let's move on into the quotation marks now. They're really important because they can be used in 2 different ways. The first one is whenever you want to say what someone else said, basically quote directly their ideas. And here we have 2 examples about this. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing, which is a very nice piece of advice by Walt Disney. Or a second one, something more familiar. Yesterday my aunt told me, "You will always be my favorite niece," or nephew in this case. Or a second use is whenever we want to show either skepticism, irony, or sarcasm in the message that we're saying. Here we have. So you're the expert photographer, right? It is the same as saying, so you are the so-called photographer, right? Or another example, its best attribute was its beauty. I don't think it was really beautiful, right? So now that we know how to use punctuation in a better way, let's just beware, because if we use it in an incorrect way, you will see that the message can change a lot, and we don't want to be misunderstood. Let's see some examples about this. I detest liars like you. I detest liars like you. So is this person a liar, or we just have something in common? Let's eat, grandma. Let's eat, grandma. So I don't think we want to eat our grandma, right? I'm sorry, I love you. I'm sorry, I love you. The first guy sounds like he doesn't want to be together anymore with this person, right? The second one might be apologizing for something. Thank you, your donation just helped someone get a job, but I am not unemployed. Thank you, your donation just helped someone get a job. That was my purpose. Most of the time, travelers worry about their luggage. I don't really know a time traveler myself. Do you? Most of the time, travelers worry about their luggage. Oh, yes, me too. I love my parents, Kylie Minogue and Kermit the Frog. Okay, it sounds like a very strange couple, right? I love my parents, Kylie Minogue and Kermit the Frog. Now, that sounds as an influence. And finally, toilet only for disabled, elderly, pregnant children. That sounds like a really strange kind of child, don't you think? Or toilet only for disabled, elderly, pregnant, and children. So this was just a general overview about punctuation. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this and have found it useful for your upcoming writings and compositions. Remember that if you want more information about international exams or our academy, you can follow the links in the description. And as well, if you like this content and enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on the rest of our social networks such as Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye bye.